nothing she could do but pray for me.
My music, how can we help you today?
Hi, I was wondering, does your location sell ukuleles?
It's like 5 seconds in and I'm already annoyed. This setup, you already know it's going to be annoying just based on the setup alone, but let's go.
Yes, we do.
Hey, is your refrigerator running?
I'm part of an organization that is trying to get stores to agree to stop selling ukuleles to millennials.
Oh, well, you better go catch it.
Okay.
Like, the woman's like, okay, sir, what?
Okay.
Oh, okay, ukulele, ha.
Like they're making, a lot of music that is frankly dangerous to public health, which is why I think this is an issue that really needs to be handled on a systemic level.
Okay, alright, thank you.
So obviously that's not gonna happen.
Oh, like, he's like, we'll call somebody else too.
Damn it.
What's going on? It's Logan from Blue Rivers.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going pretty good.
Great. I was just calling to ask if your store sells ukuleles. You have to have common sense laws in place to make sure that people aren't hurting themselves. And I just feel like millennials are hurting themselves with the ukulele.
With the ukulele.
We do.
Cool. So I'm a part of an organization that is trying to get music stores to agree to stop selling ukuleles to millennials.
Cool. No, it was really funny. It was a nice like intro bit, you know, to really like hook the viewer. that was cool.
I kind of view this as like a public safety sort of issue, so I was just wondering if I could get a verbal commitment from you that you'll stop selling them.
You know, man, I'm not the owner of this store, but
Ukuleles at your store?
This guy, this. Okay, I have to fast forward through this. I can't do this. This is insufferable. No, like legitimately, this is insufferable. So we're gonna go ahead and just fast forward through some of this horse shit. Okay, we're 3 minutes in, and he's still doing the bit. Like, no one thinks this is funny, buddy. You went down, you went outside, you got some board printed. You know for a fact that 98.69% of his following base are children who had to lie about being 13 just to sign up, and the rest is friends and family. Because this is actually unbearable. Oh, holy shit. He's still on this. We're like almost 5 minutes in. Yo, who's watching this shit? How did these people...
A little bit about aliens. Not illegal aliens, but you...
Okay, let's get into Mr. Beard's Vanessa Vokey video. This video is so easy to deconstruct.
Maybe it's a tad cringy, but the millennials aren't hurting anyone. But little do you know, every time a white millennial plays the ukulele, it's a gateway drug, pulling us closer and closer to the inevitable conclusion of their millennial brain rot.
Okay, I guess he's finally about to justify why we were forced to sit and endure watching him call and harass part-time employees of music stores.
The absolute abomination we'll be looking at today. What happens when you give a ukulele to a millennial woman who sees J.K. Rowling as the second coming of Christ? You get the pronouns song.
Pronouns are rohypnol because they try to numb your senses. Cause if you can't tell it's a dude in a dress, then you must need contact lenses. Cause lesbians
Don't have penises. There's no such thing as a girl dick. These fetishists just won't back off. I suspect they all are porn sick. Oh, Vanessa, we love you. We support you. We are here for you. We're rocking with you.
This is Vanessa Vokey. Vanessa is what you call a TERF, a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. However, I would not consider Vanessa a feminist.
Do enlighten us, Male. What is a feminist?
Being a feminist means working to dismantle the patriarchy.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. Oppressing trans people. So speaking out against the concerns of trans-identified people is oppressing them. What is it that you're doing to women when you speak out and try to silence women?
Working to improve the material conditions of women, and working to achieve systemic equality between all sexes and genders.
See, as we'll find out later, this clown identifies as non-binary and thus has a horse in the race. Most regular males don't give a shit about any of this. But he does, and he's pushing very hard so that he can define what feminism is. See, that's what happens when you redefine what a woman is. You redefine who gets to decide what feminism is. And then you get to tell us what we need. Go fuck yourself.
However, 34 out of the 46 videos on Vanessa's channel are dedicated to shitting on trans people. Rather than focus on criticizing the men who are actively oppressing women.
You mean kind of like the ones seeking to redefine our existence to be whoever likes pink and glitter and... well, actually, they don't even know. They don't even know what a woman is. I've never heard a coherent definition of what a woman is. But yeah, no, you mean those males who are trying to eliminate our spaces in society, our ability to play sports amongst ourselves, to be safe. God forbid should we ever be incarcerated. You mean those males? Because she's doing a pretty good job of going after them.
Vanessa has decided to dedicate her entire life to oppressing trans people.
The level of privilege for the world's most privileged human beings on earth, white, Western males, upper middle class males, educated white males, hold the greatest power on the face of the planet, that they are so entitled to go to some of the most vulnerable people on the planet, women, and not only take over their identity, say now that they're actually women, but now that they are more oppressed and that they are being oppressed by the people that they oppress and whose identities they're stealing. It is like a global, massive movement to gaslight women. It is phenomenal, and it is something that only an oppressor could actually pull off. It's stunning. It's not brave, but it's fucking stunning.
A group that is even more marginalized than cis women.
You literally just proved what her entire video is about. Thank you so much. The statement, pronouns are rohypnol, in the song, the pronoun song that Vanessa wrote, has to do with the fact that when we change the language around people, when we use pronouns like she and her for male-bodied people, you then differentiate them from other male-bodied people as if they don't pose the same risk to us. You think, oh, rather than focus on the males who are oppressing you, she's attacking these poor other women. You're making it sound like catty female infighting when she's fighting against the single biggest threat to women is the subversion, the elimination, and the destruction of our identity, of our ability to delineate ourselves from males, to codify ourselves into law as a class that needs to be protected from male-bodied people, as a class that has certain disadvantages and vulnerabilities in relationship with male-bodied people, and that we've always had spaces that we were allowed, that protected our biology. And here's the thing that you're missing. Okay, as you'll go on to blather on and talk in circles about what is a woman and gender identity and social constructs and protected class and all this stuff, I can literally juxtapose about 15 contradictions that you make in this whole shithole video, and I probably will. But it is stunning how easily and clearly you gloss over exactly what you make our points for us. And this is what always blows my mind. These trans rights activists make our points for us. Oh, why not go focus on the men who are really oppressing you? That's exactly what we're doing. Why would you sit there and hyperfixate on pronouns and language? Because the only way that you are able to separate these males out, these trans-identified males out, from the rest of their male class is because now you called them she, her. So it sounds like we're talking about a class of women. It sounds like we're talking about a class of females. We are talking about a class of males, sir. So she's doing exactly what you just suggested her to do. Thank you so much. Hey, Vanessa, and you're fucking killing it too. I'm really glad. I'm so glad when we can find this area of consensus where we can all agree, yes, we should all work together to address, expose, and dismantle males who are threatening the safety, well-being, identity, and protection of females. Yes, let's all high five on that issue. Killing it. We're all coming together now. See, this isn't about divisionism. This is about unity. I want to come together with you, Mr. Beard.
I remember you that kid that has never left the house, and you were singing about it.
Yeah, this is my second time away from home, so...
We can come together. We don't need to hate each other.
I remember you well. How's it been with the ladies since the last time we saw you?
Oh, it has not changed at all.
Let's come together, you and me and every other person with sort of a brain. And I'm sure if you gather up all of your minions and you guys kind of power together, we could actually get a full functioning brain together.
I'm Ryan Beard, I'm 18 years old, and I'm a homeschooled student from Kansas City, Kansas. I've been homeschooled for pretty much my entire life.
It's separated, you might be one small fragment of a functional brain, but together you can function as a nucleus. I'm proud of us.
My name's Ryan, what's your name?
Madison.
Nice to meet you,
Good
Madison.
to meet you too.
For whatever reason, spending a bunch of time by yourself does not equal good social skills.
So do you have a girlfriend now or no?
No.
I don't have a boyfriend, so...
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Don't get the eyes.
Let's keep going.
When 75% of your content is dedicated to talking about trans women, that is not feminism. That is an obsession.
Could you imagine a white person, me, going up to a group of black people or Jewish people or some other marginalized group or some other clearly definable group and trying to explain to them that what being pro-black means, or what being Jewish means, or trying to go to them and about a movement that they created, or okay, me as a heterosexual woman, I'm bisexual, but if I were to go up to a group of lesbian women and try to tell them what the LGB Alliance is about, could you imagine the level of entitlement? It takes a profoundly entitled person, somebody who is in a position of power and access, to go up to another group and tell them what their civil rights movement is about. Thank you, dumpy, frumpy male in a cheap, shitty suit with it. Thank you so much for telling Vanessa Vokey what feminism is. For Vanessa Vokey, one of the most important feminists of our time, about what feminism. Oh no, thank you, sir. My God, what would we do without you? And this is why language matters, because they're able to gaslight people because they've convinced people to accept a change around of terminology, because this only works if you change the terminology. Because if he sat there and said, oh, feminism isn't real if you don't include men who like to cross-dressing men. And everybody would be like, no. But when it's trans women and the word is woman, wow, look at this man. He's standing up for the rights of women. But when we revert the language back to its real meaning, it doesn't sound so good. But it clarifies. That's what she meant when she said, that's what when Vanessa said pronouns are rohypnol, because they try to numb your senses. Because if you can't tell that's a dude in a dress, then you must need contact lenses. You know what she meant by that? The point of changing the language, the point of saying she, her, and then advocating for this group of people in the context of feminist spaces, people aren't going to question that. Because we associate she, her, woman with feminism. Well, of course. Well, yeah, no, we need to cover them by feminism. But the fact of the matter is that you're not advocating for women. You're advocating for a group of men who enjoy engaging with femininity. Has nothing to do with being a female. Has nothing to do with being a woman. You enjoy the construct of being a woman, not the reality of being a woman, not the true oppression. And it's funny because he's going to go and he's going to do all this circular talking about gender and sex are different, and there are some circumstances where there should be sex-based segregation, but it's also a construct and assigned female at birth and assigned male at birth, but I am a trans woman. It's all circular. It's meant to confuse you. It's meant to disarm you from understanding what's really happening. Keep watching. It's an upset. First of all, I'm going to try to avoid the ad hominems, but my God, you are annoying to look at. Almost as annoying to listen to. Get your priorities straight. This is the biggest threat to Western women of our time. The biggest threat. And yeah, I'll admit it's more of a first world threat, because when we're looking at, real hardcore sex trafficking and everything.
Like, get your fucking priorities straight.
Get your priorities straight? Excuse me, sir. This woman has every right to be concerned about the destruction of a female identity, about or giving away of female awards, female scholarships. You know how hard we fought to get female scholarships? You know that the only way to get a female scholarship was to perform in a beauty pageant? They didn't have academic scholarships. They didn't have access to sports scholarships. The only way that we could get money to go to college was to put on a fucking bikini and prance around and recite the Pledge of Allegiance and battle other women in ballroom gowns. You know the bra burnings? You know when feminists would stand in the street and burn their bras? Men love to make fun of that. That was to win the right to access academic scholarships and money to go to college without having to perform femininity. And now we are losing our scholarships again to males who love to perform femininity. Women, girls are losing access to school. They're losing spots on sports teams. They're losing spots in the Olympics. Before we know it, sports will have a JV and a varsity. It'll be the men's teams will be comprised of all the highest level male athletes. The women's teams will be comprised of all the secondary, failed, mediocre male athletes who were second runners up to making the men's team. And now they just need to take, hormones for a little bit. And now they can play at a high level on the female team. And women will sit on the sidelines like we had for for generations. How dare you tell us that this is irrelevant to us, that this doesn't directly affect us, just because you have everybody hypnotized into going along with this as if it's just some fringe, just be nice thing, because you've changed the language around, because you make it sound like you're advocating for women because you're using the words she and her to describe men. Let's use correct language. You're saying, men, why are you so worried about men coming into your spaces? Why are you so worried about men taking your scholarships and men competing on your teams? And you're gonna sit here as a man. You're a man. I don't know how old you are. You look like you're a kid, assuming that you're over the age of 18. To have some man lecture us about what's feminism. And this is why when you listen to Vanessa Vokey's song, pronouns are rehypnol, because they like to numb your senses. Because if you can't tell it's a dude in a dress, then you must need contact lenses. You know what the whole point of that is? Is because when they use language to muddle and confuse the topic.
The only time this girl talks about making life better for women is by talking about making life worse for trans women. Even if you think that trans women are actually men,
Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding, ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding, ding.
trans women still face incredibly high rates of violence, sexual assault, and suicide.
Because this is one of the number one arguments the trans rights activists use to legitimize forcing males into female spaces, as if women are some sort of comfort animal for psychologically disturbed men, right? It's that, oh, well, if we don't do it, they're at risk of being killed and they're marginalized. And then, okay, so let's see. It says 2021 was the deadliest year for transgender and gender nonconforming people in the U.S. on record. At least 50 trans and gender nonconforming people were killed this year alone. Poor report. Okay, so let's break that down. Oh, so does that mean 50 people were slaughtered? First of all, the year end was 375. No, so that was for the, okay, so the year end, okay, so it's 50 for the U.S. 50 trans-identified people, okay? And that's trans-identified men, trans-identified females, gender non-conforming, and we all know now that, you know, the rates of people who identify as trans are skyrocketing. Okay, the people, it used to be a fringe thing, now it's all over the place. And so that the year-end total for the globe of trans-identifying people, males and females, and the non-binary, you know how much? It's 375 across the entire globe. Well, but still, 375, I mean, hate crimes, that just shows they're being targeted because of their trans status. No, honey, you want to listen to me. That's just murders. They were just murdered for some reason, okay? No, none of those, 374 of those were not hate crimes. One was recorded as a hate crime. And even that, I would say it's very skeptical. I think it's more of a femicide and a lesbian hate crime. I would mark this as a lesbian hate crime. So a trans-identified female in the Philippines was raped and killed. So whether it's a hate crime or just your run-of-the-mill crime against women that women deal with all the time, the statistics of violence against women is so astronomically higher than of all trans-identifying people. And it's funny because you guys love to latch on to, you know, it's funny. Notice that we are not trying to force trans-identifying females or trans men into men's spaces. You don't see trans men lining up to go to a men's prison. Why is that? Why? Because they know it's dangerous, right? They know that. Okay? Do you know who is at the greater risk of domestic violence and being killed? Is it trans men or trans women? It's trans men. Trans men are abused, attacked, and harmed more than trans-identifying females. I'm sorry, trans-identifying males, trans women. It's almost as if trans men and trans women retain their natal sex level of vulnerability. It is not our job to fix and resolve the mental illness of mentally ill men. That is not our job at all, whatsoever. No, we're not comfort animals. They need to get help. And the fact that now that they aren't even receiving any sort of mental care. So now you guys are just dumping. You guys, on the one hand, you'll say, oh, you don't need to have dysphoria or any kind of mental illness to be trans. But then it's, oh, trans people are so mentally ill, so sick, that they're at this huge risk of suicide. Which is it? Because anytime we suggest that trans people are mentally ill, it's, oh, that's transphobic. But then one of your biggest arguments is, oh, well, if you don't allow it, then trans people are going to kill themselves. That sounds like mental illness to me.
So why not try to learn to, I don't know, coexist with them and make life better for everyone?
No, we're not comfort animals. It is not our job to solve the problems of your community. Gather up the other males the same way you guys make fun of feminists and feminism. Yet that's a way that we are gathering ourselves up and solving problems that affect us as a class. Why don't you guys do it? Who's committing all the violence? It's sure as shit not us. For all the effort and energy that you invest in harassing women like Vanessa Vokey and destroying her work and silencing her, I don't hear you doing a goddamn thing to go after the so-called source of violence against trans-identified males, trans women. It's other males. And let's be honest and 100% clear. The reason why these trans women are in such danger is because they engage in high-risk activities like prostitution and casual sex and stealthing, aka rape by deception. So you need to gather up your crew and talk to them. Say, hey, if a guy comes in and he's dressed like a woman, just leave him alone, okay? Don't harass him. We're not hurting anybody. You had to go ahead and change what violence even is, to say that words are violence, so that now you can accuse women of violence because you had no real actual examples of women committing any real violence against trans-identified males. This is not about protecting trans women. It's about getting what you want so you guys can role play in public. We don't consent. We don't want to engage with it.
The answer is because bigotry always requires an enemy, and Vanessa's enemy of choice is trans women. She will cherry pick any example of a trans woman who's a bad person and use this to prove that all trans women are bad people.
No. See, you're good at Darvo. No, literally every example that Vanessa highlights is ones that show how these trans policies, the policies themselves allowing males into female spaces, endanger women. That's not cherry picking. Honey, if we wanted to cherry pick, it's not just to show that trans people are bad. Is that these are not female crimes. Stop listing them as female crimes because you're skewing crime statistics, and this matters because it impacts our ability to understand the etiology of crime and to solve for it. Secondly, we need to show that there are clear male patterns of violence. There's male patterns of violence, female patterns of violence. And male patterns of violence are far more severe than female patterns of violence are. Hence, why we deserve to have segregated spaces away from them. Does that clarify things for you, sir? Additionally, some of these patterns of violence are directly against women. Stop. I know you want to advocate for your bros, okay?
This is exactly what racist people do.
No, it's not at all like being racist, okay? Because race is an immutable quality. We can't erase being female, okay? These men are putting on a costume and they want to role play. They have to take actions to become who they are. We're just existing. They are male. If they just continue to exist as they are, they will continue to be male. Even if they go and choose to role play and perform femininity, they're still male.
When they cherry pick one person from a certain race doing something bad and use that as proof that everyone of that race is a bad person.
Again, it's not about proof that everybody's bad. It's about the fact that these policies create conditions that endanger us. God, you're like an abuser. You really are. These are such abuse tactics. What you're doing is Darvo. You're changing her words. You're implying things. You're imposing, projecting intentions on her. You're purposely misrepresenting her point. Purposely. This is intentional to make her look crazy and kooky and bigoted. You refuse to listen to the arguments because you know that they're valid. So you need to misrepresent them. And knowing that you're entitled. First of all, hey, Mr. Beard. You fucking dork. I'm so sorry. You are such a dork. But I know for a fact that your entire base is made up of children. You know that their critical thinking is severely limited. I know you know it. That's why you can get away so easily. You know that they're not going to go and investigate what she's talking about. You know that they want to fit in. A bunch of kids where this is all popular. You're going to take all of the cheap sound bites, oh, racist, transphobic. Drop a bunch of buzzwords onto her and walk away. You are disingenuous. You were either willfully disingenuous, which I'm going to guess is that, or you're just very, very, very not intelligent or not able to think critically. But I'm going to go with willfully disingenuous. You don't seem like the brightest bulb in the box. However, I think you know what you're doing because it's so calculated. You're a men's rights activist. Let's get it real.
In my opinion, Vanessa is not a TERF, she is a TERB, a trans-exclusionary radical bigot. But the problem is, TERFs feed off of being called a bigot. Every time you call one of them a bigot, it fills up their rage tank, like the fucking scare tanks from Monsters, Inc.
Is one of the main tactics and the main manipulation techniques of this entire trans movement is they're not engaging with any of our arguments, because if they engage with our arguments, as we saw in the Dr. Phil special, their entire ideology collapses in a puddle of dust.
I have answered the question. You stood up here and said trans women are women.
Yes.
Tell me what you mean. What is a woman?
Womanhood is something that, just as Ethan explained, I cannot define because I am not myself.
You used the word. So what did you mean when you said trans women are women if you don't know what it means?
Right. So here's the thing. So I do not define what a woman is because I do not identify as a woman. Womanhood is something that is an umbrella term. It includes people who...
That describes what?
People who identify as a woman.
Identify as what?
As a woman.
What is that?
Was to each their own. Okay. Each woman, each man, each person is going to have a different relation with their own gender identity and define it differently. And so trans women are women too.
Okay.
And you want to hold on.
Trans women are women. Listen, you won't even tell me what the word means, though. So that's the problem. You want to reduce women.
You want to reduce men down to maybe just their genetics, our genitals, our chromosomes, right? That's what you're saying.
What you want to do is what you want to do is appropriate women. You want to appropriate womanhood.
Okay.
And turn it into basically a costume that can be worn.
Sides of things about the whole Matt Walsh versus whoever these trans rights activists were on the Dr. Phil special, where they're like, how do they give him, why they give Matt Walsh a platform for his bigotry and his hatred? Not that Matt Walsh lost the debate. Okay, because as he was saying, it was like if their side won, they would be gloating like, yeah, we owned Matt Walsh and his shitty debate, and he couldn't even argue us down. But no, they couldn't because everybody knows that the trans rights activist sides had no argument. There was no argument. It was just like, it just is. It's we'll just move the goalposts wherever they need to move, just to sustain our argument of trans rights are trans women are women. So, and that's exactly what this Mr. Beard person is doing. He is not engaged with not one of Vanessa. This is, you'll see for the rest of the video. He doesn't engage with any of her arguments. He adds a bunch of straw mans, and he very strategically avoids putting any clips of her doing any of the things that he's claimed. The whole beginning is just this blather of him calling her a bigot and a transphobe, and then even going on to his own sort of bigoted tirade against people of, some of the major world religions.
They're like religious martyrs, and every time you call them a bigot, it just reaffirms in their head that they're doing exactly what their goddess J.K. Rowling called them to do.
First of all, I didn't know that J.K. Rowling ever gave any sort of call to action in terms of anybody doing anything against trans-identifying people. And just like a lot of people who want to call J.K. Rowling a bigot, they have to just say, oh, the tweets. They won't read them aloud, because if you actually read them, you look like a fool. You look like a fool calling her a bigot, because nothing in what she said is bigoted. That's why they avoid ever actually dealing with the arguments themselves. Well, lucky for you, you have me, and I'm going to do it for you. The original tweet that J.K. Rowling tweeted, which was on December 19th of 2019, which is now honored and commemorated as Gender Critical Coming Out Day every year. If you feel like you want to go public with your beliefs that sex is real, December 19th is your day. So J.K. Rowling said, dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real? Hashtag I stand with Maya, hashtag this is not a drill. And this was when she was tweeting on behalf of Maya Forrester, who had lost her job because she refused to acquiesce to trans demands. There was no call to action. It wasn't go harass your local trans-identifying person, or let's kick these people out of their jobs, or let's go. I saw a lot of calls to action to attack J.K. Rowling. I saw a lot of calls to action to dox her, to show up at her house, to kill her family, a lot of really horrifying, disgusting things, but I never saw a call to action on her end. What else did she say following up with that? She said, if sex isn't real, this is in June 6th. If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex. J.K. Rowling tweeted, if sex isn't real, then there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of any to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate speech to speak the truth. She said, the idea that women like me, who have been empathetic to trans people for decades, feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, i.e. to male violence, quote, hate trans people because they think sex is real and has lived consequences, is a nonsense. She said, I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. Where's the bigotry?
They have the exact same persecution complex as Christians.
Yes, and now he's going to go into a tirade about how much Christians are pieces of shit, and that's supposed to somehow underscore that he's not a bigot.
Like the ones at the Westboro Baptist Church. When you call these Christians out for their homophobia, they'll say that you're just calling them out because you hate God.
It only sounds like you're the bigot. It sounds like you're the misogynist who hates women for talking about their female experiences that are unique. We are our own class of people that are fully male exclusionary. That is inherently male exclusionary.
And when you call TERFs out for their transphobia, they'll say that you're just calling them out because you hate women. If you criticize them for how they're not making life better for anyone, they're just making life worse for trans women, they will label you a misogynist.
Yeah, Beard. That's legitimate. We're saying that we have a shared experience that you fucking have no idea about. None. You have no authority whatsoever to be preaching to us about being female, about being a woman. And yet we've got to look at your face. Please do tell us, because this entire thing, it's like a crash course on how to gaslight somebody. Your girlfriend really needs to take some notes, because this is concerning. You're like a fucking walking red flag.
And say that men don't get to have an opinion on feminism.
Yes. How foolish, huh? Go label you a misogynist. Oh, yes. How petty and ridiculous that a woman would say that. Ew. And listen, to any of the young female followers of this guy, this is really who you're getting behind? This is really... You respect this? You are... Listen, sweetheart, any of the young women who follow Mr. Beard, who, I'm sure you jumped on Vanessa's page and, called her a transphobe and a bigot and all sorts of things. And I understand, okay? But just for one moment, please try to hear me. When you support men like this, you are supporting their true agenda. Men want to be able to engage in men since time immemorial have wanted to push beyond women's boundaries. As females, as women, we gatekeep our sexuality. Why? Because we bear the reproductive burden of the species. We have always had a drive to protect ourselves from men who want to target us for our sexuality, for our ability to conceive, for our ability to so men will always look to find ways to bring down the boundaries of women. When you team up with these men and you allow them to confuse you and brainwash you by changing pronouns, that's what Vanessa's saying by pronouns are rohypnol. They try to numb your senses, because when you sit there and listen to Beard say, it's these TERFs, that we're no longer women, we're TERFs, are being mean to trans women. It sounds like these people are targeting women. We are the women. They're men. You're standing up for men's rights to target women. You're hurting us. You're hurting yourself.
Vanessa has even said that calling her a bigot is a slur against her. Slurs are insults based on immutable characteristics like skin color or sexuality.
Wrong again, Beard. I know it sucks when you're just so used to having 12-year-olds who don't call you out on your shit because they don't have fully developed critical thinking skills. But you're in the arena of adults now. And so let's clarify what a slur means. Slur. Noun, an insinuation or allegation about somebody that is likely to insult them or damage their reputation. Example, the comments were a slur on the staff. Oh yeah, no, it sounds like Vanessa once again is correct. Not batting too well here, there, Beard. And clearly, gentlemen like Mr. Beard here really anticipate and depend on you not looking up or verifying any of his statements, so he can just say whatever he wants. As long as he drops enough bombs like transphobia and bigotry and all his other dog whistles for people to get all up in arms, then we don't have to listen or actually engage with any of the arguments or have a real debate. You just drop the transphobe a bunch of times. Well, I don't want to be a transphobe. I guess I have to agree with Mr. Beard. Mr. Beard hates women. Mr. Beard protects predators. Mr. Beard protects males and the proclivity of males. Trans-identified females are not trying to force their way. Trans men are not forcing their way into prison. Why? Because they know that it's dangerous. It's only men trying to force their way into women's spaces. Why are we not having this conversation the other way around? Because even trans-identified females understand that they don't want to be in these vulnerable spaces with these sorts of men. Wake up. Stop listening to these losers.
Calling you a bigot is not insulting you for who you are, it's insulting you for your opinions. Calling a homophobic person a homophobe is not a slur. Calling a racist person a racist is not a slur. And calling a TERF a bigot is not a slur.
Stop listening to these losers. Stop letting words like bigot and transphobe shut you down and make you too afraid to interact with the arguments. This is why this has gotten this far. Because they drop some words and they scare you with doxing you and shutting you down, and it's starting to work. Women are being arrested for talking about their experiences. How dare you as a man? How dare you? How dare you try to preach to us about our concerns for our safety, our well-being, our space in society, our identity? Go fuck yourself. Yo, on some real shit, go fuck yourself. You're a weirdo too.
Now, I will actually agree that certain trans issues don't have easy solutions, like, for example, should sports be segregated by gender or by sex? Or should prisons be segregated by gender or by sex?
And here we come to the part where this guy basically undoes everything that he said before and acknowledges that sex is real, that women are at a unique vulnerability, and that males pose a threat to females. You fucking piece of shit. After you just sat there and let's see, what are we into now? 8 minutes and 20 seconds of you going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about Vanessa being a bigot and a transphobe and a TERF. And now you're like, oh, well, technically she's right about everything and there's no easy answers. Yeah, let's quick gloss through this. This is what we're talking about. These concerns that you are now about to acknowledge are all valid is exactly what we're saying. But you want to shut us up and you're trying to tell us that we don't get to have an opinion about our own lives, our own identities, our own experiences, our place, our position in law. I know you're used to dealing with 12-year-olds, Beard, but you're at the adult table right now. And we're going to call you on your shit.
Let's look at the example of prisons. Putting trans women into men's prisons puts them at a greatly increased risk of violence against them.
Do you hear this, guy? So it's trans women concerns about being housed with males is that they'll experience violence. Okay. But then the concerns of women is that, well, they might not be comfortable with the idea of being housed with men with penises. So you're still framing it as if it's just because we're just transphobes. We don't want to be around, people with penises. Because, we just aren't comfortable. Or is it because we fear for our safety? Or is it because that we bear the reproductive burden of being human? Is it because even one act of unwanted sexual contact can change our lives forever in a way that you'll never understand and you'll never relate to? Is it that if we get pregnant we are now, for the rest of our lives, our life is at risk. Our life is at risk if we get an abortion. Our life is at risk if we give birth. Our life is at risk, as we now have we are imposed upon us this forcing us to carry the seed of someone's sexual gratification, instant gratification. They will walk on and walk away from for the rest of their lives, that we'll be responsible for the rest of our lives, that will change the path of our lineage forever. How dare you? How dare you dismiss it as if, oh, well, it's just because they don't really feel comfortable. First of all, let's talk about studies, shall we? Since, you kind of quickly drew one up there. Let's also talk about the Swedish study that shows that trans women retain male levels of violence. Let's talk about the fact that trans women are men. They're built like men. You don't understand what the difference of the punching power between a man and a woman is, Mr. Beard? Do you know? You get, as a woman, to be hit by another woman and to be hit. My boyfriend, for example, if he were to punch me full force in the face, he would shatter my face. He could kill me with one hit. And that's the case with a lot of these men. Nothing about being trans-identifying makes these men less susceptible or less prone to violence. If there's no difference between men and women, then why are we not housed with them to begin with? Why? If there is a concern for trans-identifying men who have similar rates of vulnerability that gay men have or effeminate men have in prison, house them separately within the men's ward. Women are not comfort animals for vulnerable men, for mentally ill men, for handicapped men. We are not a little protective bedding for them to come lay down in. They need to resolve their needs within the men's estate.
But I do acknowledge that some women in women's prisons aren't comfortable having people with penises in their female-only spaces.
Well, female only. Is there no difference between trans women and women? Or is there a difference, Beard? You gotta pick a side. You need to pick a side. Trans women have far more in common with males, with men, because they're all male. Their desire to perform femininity, to wear dresses, to be seen, their desire for the world to see them as women, they're all the wishing, hoping, and wanting in the world will never make them female, and will never equalize. It will never equalize their position to us and eliminate our vulnerability.
However, in the ideal world that Vanessa wants, trans men like this man would be put into women's prisons, and most women who aren't TERFs would not be comfortable with trans men in their spaces. TERFs like Vanessa are afraid of having trans women.
I love when you guys act like this is a concern for us. First of all, actually, no. I'm not afraid of women like that at all. There's plenty of strong women. That's not the concern. She can't rape me. She can't rape me and she can't get me pregnant. It's not the same. It's such a false equivalency.
TERFs like Vanessa are afraid of having trans women in their prisons because they're afraid that trans women will attack them. However, having a penis doesn't make someone inherently more violent.
No. Having a penis makes someone inherently more dangerous. Having semen makes someone inherently more dangerous. Having testosterone makes someone inherently more violent. Having gone through the male neurological priming that periods of high levels of androgen hormones make somebody more violent. And no, puberty blockers do not reverse the 2 other times during male development in which there is a massive influx of testosterone, and that is during the prenatal environment at around 20 weeks, and again during the first year of a child's life. They are flooded with puberty level hormones in which their brains are primed and their bodies are primed. This is another reason why it is so crucial that we have accurate reporting of crime statistics, because yes, no, sweetheart, what you'll find is that males are vastly more dangerous than females. Vastly more prone to violence. The vast majority of women who are in prison are there for non-violent crimes. It is cruel and unusual punishment to put them with people who are not only more prone to violence, who are bigger than them, larger than them, far more capable of overpowering them, and who can rape and impregnate them.
The reason men are statistically more violent than women is because of patriarchal socialization. Men are socialized to be more violent.
So if you're going to sit here, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Beard. Okay, so then if males are not a genuine or legitimate threat to females in prison, then what is the argument for why trans-identified males or trans women should be housed away from males? What are you talking about? I thought males were not necessarily more dangerous. And what exactly makes a trans-identified male? Just because somebody relates more with femininity? Are you really suggesting that predatory males will not use loopholes such as self-ID laws, saying, hey, I'm a woman, house me with the women's prison? It's like, oh, well, he says he's a woman, we gotta house him with the women's prison. You really believe that predators, men who are locked up because they are pathological, because they're dangerous, because they are predators, will not go and use that loophole? What are they going to be honorable? Well, they're locked up because they're real honorable men? So if you're acknowledging that men are a danger to other men, how are you going to dismiss women when we're saying that men are a danger to us?
Saying that people with penises are inherently more dangerous than people with vaginas because of their biology is a theory called biological essentialism. And this theory is backed by just as much scientific evidence as theories like phrenology and eugenics. No scientific evidence.
Wrong again. So we are in a sexually dimorphic species, meaning we have males and females. Additionally, we are in a size differentially dimorphic species, meaning that we have males who are larger, evolved to be larger than females. Females are a baseline. Males evolved to be larger. When you have a size differentially dimorphic, sexually dimorphic species in which males are larger, that is indicative of a species in which males are more sexually aggressive, and there is more sexual violent competition for mates. It also means that males of that species have evolved to have more aggressive tendencies across the board. So these are the stronger and the more aggressive males will win over the mates, meaning the stronger and more aggressive males are the ones whose lineage will continue. Just the very fact that the males in our species are stronger, larger, have a thicker bone density, have a more forceful punching power, are taller, are heavier, or have, faster muscle twitch fibers, is already enough of a sign that males in our species are aggressive. If you look at any species, a sexually dimorphic species that is sexually reproducing, and you see that the males of that species are larger than the females, and that's not in all species, but for the ones for which it is, you can assume that the males are aggressive and that they are more aggressive than the females. So, wrongo bongo, Beardo.
In my opinion, the benefit of saving trans women from violence in men's prisons and not forcing trans men into women's prisons outweighs the cost of making some TERFs uncomfortable because there are people with penises in their space.
I understand that now, because we have birth control and abortion, that you think that a pregnancy forced upon a woman is no big deal. Just get an abortion. Abortions can destroy your cervix. Abortions can cause perforations. Abortions are deeply emotionally traumatizing to a woman who is literally wired to protect her progeny at all. There are also no known cases of female to female sexual transmission of HIV. STDs are far more serious in females than they are in males. They can cause gynecological cancers. They can cause infertility. They can cause pathological pregnancies, such as if you have pelvic inflammatory disease due to gonorrhea. That can cause you to have a tubal pregnancy. If that pregnancy grows inside your fallopian tube, it is supposed to implant in your uterus. If it implants in the fallopian tube and it grows and it ruptures, you can be dead within minutes. Tell me again how penises are not inherently dangerous to women. It seems like this has been understood across time and culture and millennia, and all of a sudden we hit 2022 and it's like everybody forgets, and we have to reprove why we deserve sex-based protections. If we are not female because of our biology, then what the fuck makes a woman? If why would we even separate us at all? Why would we have any sort of segregation? What the fuck is the point of making feminine and masculine segregation? What the hell is the point of a men's and a woman's bathroom if we're not going to go off of biological differences? What the hell is the point then? Males can rape me. In law and in reality, females cannot, depending on where you are. In Great Britain, rape is only with a penis. You can only be raped by a penis. You can be sexually assaulted by a woman. Women certainly can statutorily rape a child. But rape in certain countries, and I believe in reality, is only done with a penis. A woman cannot rape me. A woman cannot impregnate me against my will, which can change my life. Our differences aren't in our biology. Our vulnerability is in our biology. How dare you gaslight us and pretend like that's not the truth? I can't take any more of this guy. The rest of his arguments are equally bullshit. I think we're winding down, and then the rest is him just attacking the beautiful art of Vanessa Vokey. But I will, before I sign off, and we are gonna end with Vanessa's piece, that Beard's video effectively had removed from YouTube, which is a tragedy. It's a tragedy for women. I believe that one day Mr. Beard, when he is older, when he is grown, perhaps he's had children, he's had women in his life that he cares about, he will reflect and realize how wrong he was. I think that his admitted reality that he was homeschooled, that he was never around anybody, he wasn't very much socialized around other men. Men who were socialized around other men understand the risk. They would never argue against us unless they were predators themselves. I will give Beard the benefit of the doubt and say that he is very ignorant. He's a little bit of a predator too. I mean, you can just tell he's a gaslighter, and he's goes on to say how he's non-binary.
I don't really love talking about my own gender.
That obnoxious smirk tells me that you do love talking about it, and the fact that you're about to fucking talk about it and no one asked.
because to me, gender is kind of a private thing and I don't really like people on the internet commenting on my gender, but I personally identify as non-binary, which TERFs consider a made-up gender created for the purpose of preying on women. However, I recognize that in many ways I still benefit from male privilege because
I'm a male and I'm only doing this so that I can gain access to vulnerable spaces because it gives me a thrill. It's exciting to be somewhere where I don't belong and to obviously get the gratification of watching women do things that I've always fantasized about but never had the opportunity to witness for myself. But now that I'm non-binary, I can do whatever the fuck I want because I'm an fat, entitled, weird clown socialized exclusively on the internet. And my fucking mom still jerks me off every night. He's non-binary. So this he does have a horse in this race. But Vanessa, I want to tell you, you are strong. You are brave. You have held the line. You have been unwavering. You have blazed the trail. You have taken the torch straight out of the hand of Miss Magdalene Burns herself, and you have run so far with it. So if there's ever a time when I can help clear your path so that you won't trip, so that these snares in your way won't catch you, I will. I hate seeing you fight on your own. I hate it, and I hate seeing you unprotected. I hate seeing you and you get up every fucking time. You were knocked down 9 times and you get up 10. You are on the right side of history. History will remember you as the warrioress that you are. You will get your flowers one day, and I hope that it is during our lifetime. Thank you. Thank you for fighting for me. Thank you for fighting for my daughters. Thank you for fighting for all women. I'm so proud of you. And I am grateful to call you my friend and my colleague and my comrade. Onward.
Talia they have to TERFs just because TERFs don't want people with penises.
Shut up, weirdo. Enough of you. Vanessa's turn to talk.
Pronouns are rohypnol because they try to numb your senses. Cause if you can't tell it's a dude in a dress, then you must need contact lenses. Cause lesbians don't have penises. There's no such thing as a girl dick. These fetishists just won't back off. I suspect they all are porn sick. These adult men believe they're girls, but what does that really mean? Depictions of females raped and abused on Pornhub's most watched video streams. Cause female is not an identity you can put on when it's pleasing. It's the cycle of the moon and tides, the life-giving and the bleeding. Do not call us vulva owners. Babies are not fed by our chests. Stop erasing our experiences and stop sexualizing the function of breasts. Younger gays are being told that they were born in the wrong body. Only perverts lie to kids about sex and human anatomy. Cause grooming is what predators do. They stalk their unwitting prey. Maps are openly promoting their sickness on Twitter and YouTube every single day. So if you're sick of this assault on truth and you can't understand how we got this fucked, share this song with all your friends, especially the one with his dick talk.